I mean, if you're a Bears fan, you're thinking forward progress. Come on.
10, 219, 219.
Forward Progress, a Chicago Bears podcast with Dan Bernstein and Matt Abeticola on 312 Sports.
We give you Forward Progress here on 312 Sports, and we generally talk Chicago Bears as we have been doing, taking you through what has been the denouement of a remarkable season in a lot of ways. And that's where it gets interesting as we get into championship weekend here, especially with the weather that's going on and feeling like we're all just kind of stuck in our cozy homes for a couple of days here with nothing to do but watch these games and these teams that remain. We're all kind of torn because, look, we're going to watch and we're going to be excited about it, and it's going to be interesting football in its own right for the most part. But for the first time in a while, it does give us that phantom pain a little bit of not having another Bears game to which to look forward, of not having of these teams that we're turning on. It's a weird place to be because generally we're used to this not being the Bears. We're not even thinking about the possibility that one of these teams could or should be the Bears, depending on how you feel. But I know I'm going to get over it, and I know I'm going to be able to enjoy this and the Super Bowl for what it is.
Yeah, I've gotten over it. I'm good. I think the press conference and hearing from Bears leadership kind of put a nice little bow on things for me, that they're not stupid, they're not idiots, they're not morons. They watch the same games that we watched. They said all the right things. So I was good. I mean, that the disappointment of losing that Rams game where I think they actually gave the game away, I'm over that. The fact that there's NFC Championship games happening now this weekend with Seattle and the Rams, I'm good to go. I'm good to go to watch it. I think, again, the way they closed out the season for me, the leadership, it was the first time in my life that I could say, hey, that was really good. They said all the right things. It's pointed in the right direction. I'm ready to go. Where I'm at already is I'm already looking forward to what's the next thing for the Bears schedule. And I know Ben Johnson told Caleb Williams and the rest of his staff and the rest of the players to disengage, get away from football, and reset a little bit. I don't have that luxury. I'm ready to go. Like, what's the next thing that we discuss as far as the Bears are concerned?
Well, I liked the fact that Ben Johnson said that Caleb needs to get away from football for a little bit. It is great advice. And I first heard it when being a dad, a sports dad. And I first heard it when Jay was like 7 or 8 and he had finished fall baseball. And it was a pretty competitive fall baseball league. And he was 8 because it was the first year of travel baseball. And then after travel ball, they're trying to put together all these fall teams. I didn't even know what fall baseball was, because I didn't play it. And they're just sort of into this, like, okay, well, now we got to do this. And now these travel kids have to go play fall and keep this up. And it was a lot. And the coach, when their season ended and in the playoffs, and the coach was great. Very experienced coach, I believe. And he just said, hey, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your baseball bag and put it in the basement and put it in the garage and forget about it for a while. And just don't worry about it. And what we learned was that the multi-sport kids had no problem doing that because you already had the other coaches saying, well, when does he come to practice? When is he doing this? And it took a little bit for it to start, once hockey is going, and then it's just right into that again, which is great for kids to have something else. And to be able to have all of this out of sight, out of mind, and ideally, for these professionals, go sit on a beach, go play golf, go fishing, do something. And as much as the scouting report say, loves football, all about football, constantly talking about football, you don't want somebody who's a maniac. You want somebody who's well-adjusted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think even if it's not going anywhere, it's just not doing anything physical for a while.
Yeah.
Just go and lay down in a nice comfy bed and stay there for a week or two, and then figure out where your vacation is going to be, or your next event or outing or dinner or whatever it is you're going to do with the family or friends. Just go and relax for a while. If there's no treatment needed, there's no therapy needed, You're not getting surgery. Just go and soak in a bubble bath and then sleep in your bed for a week or two.
Well, did you watch Caleb like walking around at any of these games?
Yeah, he looked like he was a 65-year-old man who just, yeah.
He didn't miss any time. This guy didn't miss a practice. And I can't even begin to think, I don't care if you're 23 years old, that going through what he went through and what they won't tell us about every NFL season, you're right. Like have a couple of decent meals and sit in a hot tub and let your body recover.
Yeah, I mean, he took every snap except those, final 7 minutes or so of that Lions game. He was there for every snap, and he's been there, since the start of his rookie season. He's been there with the exception of that Lions game in week 2. So, yeah, just go and relax and take some time, not only physically but mentally, just to let it all go. The only thing I'm disappointed about at the end of the season is the DJ Moore stuff. That's it. And I'm curious to see how that all plays out, that we haven't heard from DJ Moore and there really wasn't anything further outside of what we heard on the explanation of that last play. And, Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, they honestly don't owe us an explanation. They don't. They don't have to. They don't owe us anything as fans. I get it. You can argue that and say they certainly do because we pay. Some of us pay for tickets. Some of us don't. But I would have preferred, given everything that Ben Johnson had started this year as far as developing a culture of transparency and honesty with the media and with the fan base, I would have preferred to hear something more than all of the former players and speculation and guys on TV and guys on radio and guys doing podcasts saying, this is what my eyes saw. I would like to hear definitively what happened, more than just a miscommunication. Caleb stumbling over that word several times. I really want to know what went wrong on that play. And again, Ben Johnson doesn't owe me an explanation. He doesn't need to come out and say, yeah, DJ was the number one receiver, or Rome was number one there, or the check down was number one, and Caleb did this or saw this or saw that. But I would have liked to have heard that because that's the way the season ended. And I want to know if my eyes were correct or if there's more to it. And just not hearing anything more definitive was a disappointment in the end for me.
And what's going to happen, because we didn't get closure, and like you say, we're not clamoring to be owed that,
right?
But because we didn't, it does throw into focus the contract situation, as it's reasonable to examine the NFL team's costs here and who is being paid, how much guaranteed money has already been paid, and where are the big price tags if you are looking to save money. And Brad Biggs did that with the Tribune. That was the first name on top of his list because it's the most money. It's DJ Moore at $28.5 million. He listed 13 players, not including Caleb Williams, with a cap hit for next year above $8 million. And because DJ Moore was signed to that 4-year, $110 million extension last July, or July of 24, I should say, the Bears aren't going to save any money off the cap by anything but a trade. And because of his salary, it's probably unlikely they're going to get a ton back. He's not a real valuable trade piece right now. Anybody getting him would pay him $24.5 next year. It would have to be out of real need to try to create that cap space.
The only scenario I see that works out in the Bears' favor is a restructuring of the contract. And I don't see DJ and his agent wanting or allowing that to happen. But, I mean, you can't be the highest paid guy in the team and not be the number one wide receiver. You just can't.
And if you want that list in order, these are the 13 players with the biggest cap hits, all above $8 million. It's Moore at 28.5, Sweat at 25.1, Jalen Johnson at 25, Tooney at 21.5, Odengbo 20.5, Jonah Jackson 19.5, Grady Jarrett 19, Tremaine Edmonds 17.4, Dahlman 14, Gordon 13.3, Kmet 11.6, Edwards, and now that gets complicated by his broken leg, that's at 10.8, and DeAndre Swift at 8.8. I don't think all of those people will be back.
I agree with that.
It just would be unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever and however, I don't know. But looking at those 13, and certainly they aren't going to be back on those deals as currently constructed, as currently structured, to use the word that you used. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just a fact of life in the NFL that they're going to move some of this around, and they may have to make some decisions as they try to stay young and viable and take what they learned about this year's team and try to apply it with however they're going to build it out.
Yeah, a couple other things I just want to point out real quick about this season, and we're talking about contracts. Nahshon Wright, I saw an article on NFL.com. One of the 7 players they highlighted from around the league that are looking to get, not looking to, but should get a big contract. These are 7 players that made a name for themselves that aren't paid, that weren't paid in 24, or 25, I'm sorry, and expect to get big contracts offered. So Nahshon Wright with 5 interceptions, second on the team, 11 pass breakups. He had 31 stops on the run game. So that's 4th most of all cornerbacks in the NFL. So he had himself a really good season. I just don't know if I'm paying that, I'm paying Nahshon Wright $12, $13, $14, $15 million a season.
You can't. Reading through these numbers, if Jalen Johnson's at 25 and Kyler Gordon is at 13.3, that's 2 of your 3 starting corners who are already making bank. You're not going to pay a third.
Yeah.
You're just not, especially off of 1 year's worth of performance.
And I think what we discussed about Nahshon Wright the other day is allow him to go out into free agency and see what might be there. And if the Bears can do something that's favorable for the player and the organization, yeah, I'm not opposed to him coming back, but just not at a big contract. He just can't do it.
Something else I wanted to bring up as we're looking at what's going on around the NFL, and this seemed a little bit strange, but where Mike McDaniel had appeared to agree to become the Chargers offensive coordinator, that now we're learning that's only after he exhausts head coaching possibilities and opportunities, which they're allowing him to do. He's talking to the Bills, and he's interviewed with the Falcons, the Ravens, the Browns, the Raiders, and the Titans, and then withdrew from the Browns coaching search. The vacancy of the previous interviews is Las Vegas, but now the Bills. So we're going to find out what's going on. This is a fallback for him. He will be able to become the Chargers OC if indeed he doesn't get a head coaching job. That's the way it's being explained right now, and I'm reading this off the CBS Sports website. But I don't think it's really newsworthy, but the fact that Josh Allen is said now to be significantly involved in the process, I don't think that should really ruffle any feathers right now. Why shouldn't the most important person in your organization have some kind of say?
Yeah, the owner came out and said that he'll be not only a part of it, but he'll make the decision on who the next head coach is. Yeah, whatever. If you're the owner who sounds like a buffoon anyway, you want to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that.
Well, he shouldn't make I'm not turning over control of a coaching hire to my quarterback.
Well, if you're giving him any kind of influence to it, well, whatever. You want to do that, that's your team. Go ahead and do it. But you failed to mention who else interviewed for the Buffalo Bills head coaching job.
Well, Brian Daboll
and
Joe Brady
and
Phillip Rivers.
I don't know if he has or is going to, but ESPN has reported that Phillip Rivers will interview or has interviewed for the head coaching position for the Buffalo Bills. So former high school head football coach Phillip Rivers is getting a look from Buffalo.
All right. This has been a bad few days for the leadership of the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, it has. It certainly has.
It really has been bad, and the memes have been flying right and left. But they fire a coach, and then they have a press conference in which the fired coach ends up looking even better than before, with the clown show that they put on at the press conference. And the way they timed the announcement that Josh Allen has some involvement and some say was almost face-saving. It's almost like they used him as a shield to then hide behind the most popular part of your organization and say, don't worry, these idiots aren't in charge, or we're going to talk to him. And it all seems like cheap, unfortunate damage control.
No, it certainly does. And if you're trying to say, hey, the idiots aren't in charge, here's Phillip Rivers for an interview, like, okay, I'm like, what are we doing?
No, it reminds me of when out of nowhere with the Texans. Remember when Josh McCown was getting all that look? It was back during the like Jack Easterby craziness that was happening there, and out of a guy who was similarly coaching high school, like, oh, well, make Josh McCown the head coach. To have the Bears not involved in that is really great. To have them not really part of NFL stupid right now is great, and to have just a simple postseason press conference. Here's what we're on. Here's what we're doing. We'll talk more when it's time to talk more. And like we said during DBU, we read an email from somebody who said usually they're way ahead in thinking about the draft, and they just realized, oh my gosh, the Bears season just came to an end, and they hadn't given any thought yet to what was happening in the draft.
And I think it's interesting what I've seen the last couple of days from Ben Johnson's comments about how you don't build momentum season to season, and we're one of the 31 teams, and it starts from scratch, and we have to start over again. A little bit of not outright full-on shots and criticism at him, but people questioning that kind of philosophy or perspective that he has. And I don't get the people questioning it. I don't understand it because he's not wrong. He's 100% accurate. And not only did he say it, but Caleb Williams said it, Cole Kmet said it. It's about each season being a part of itself, and there is no building on. And I like his perspective. I like the fact that he didn't rest on what they accomplished, even if they exceeded expectations. He didn't rest on that and say, hey, wow, look at me. I'm also an AP finalist for Coach of the Year, and look how great we did this year, and no one thought we'd get this far. No, we're one of the 31 teams that failed. We did great, but it wasn't good enough. I'm on to 2026.
It is about damn time.
Right. I don't understand why that's a negative perspective.
I haven't heard. Who said that?
I've seen it on Twitter from different beat reporters. And again, not coming out and saying, oh, I can't believe he said this or this is wrong. But like, with a winky eye and a question mark, kind of like, oh, here's what Ben Johnson had to say. Kind of like, what do you think of this? Instead of going full out and saying, I think he's wrong or I disagree with him, it's just kind of throwing it out there.
Well, nobody was better than Matt Nagy at giving us empty platitudes and giving us the bright side of everything and talking in sort of vague blandishments. Nobody was better than the Bears at trying to find reasons to justify not making moves. It's one of the few things the Bears were great at for a long time. The famous quote by Ted Phillips that we've referenced innumerable times, which is, did we get the quarterback right? No. Did we win enough games? No. But everything else is okay. Something to that effect. Right. Which is on its face preposterous. That you don't have the quarterback and you didn't win enough games. Stop there. Stop. That means
everything else is okay though. So
that means nothing else is
like
okay.
We had a really good culture, and the cafeteria food was delicious.
It wasn't though. We learned it wasn't.
Each other in the face during the weight rooms, and no one shot each other at a gun range. I mean, everything was great.
This is based on the recent, and that was when the thing was going out of the gun range. They went to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So that didn't even, that was one of the best teams the Bears have had in forever when they're punching each other and getting drunk and shooting guns and whatever it was they were doing.
Yes.
So, yeah, boy, that was, I still can't believe that was allowed to have happened, but I guess it was different times, simpler times indeed. But
yeah, so I just love that Ben Johnson said that. I love that that's his perspective because he's right. And it's about time we don't settle for, oh, it was good, but not good enough, but it was still good. And yeah, look how good we did. We won 11 games. No one thought we would. No one thought we'd win the division, and we did. It wasn't good enough. And the head coach said it, and that's it right there, period.
Well, you can't be the same team that fired Lovie Smith after a 10-6 season and then say anything else. You can't be. You can't stand in front of people after you told Lovie the team went 10-6. You're like, you know what? I know you went 10-6, but that's not good enough. Then I think it would be disingenuous to have this kind of reaction to what Ben Johnson is saying. There's no counter argument. Like to actually do that, to sort of snarkily suggest, I don't know what's going on with this Ben Johnson guy. He's pretty tough on him. He's not enjoying this enough. Well, really? Like, argue against that. Go make that case. Make that case to somebody who's actually competitive, who really does wake up every day driven as much as Ben Johnson does. I don't think it's a bit. I don't think it's an act.
No, I agree.
And then make that case with him. You tell him he's wrong. He didn't want to hear it.
Right. And until they win a Super Bowl, it's never going to be good enough. Your good gets better, your better gets best, and Bears on 4.
Yeah, and there's a difference between being competitive and being insane. And there are some guys who are like, I don't want to use that term too flippantly. I mean, there are hyper competitive coaches who are incapable of enjoying anything and who will never understand what it means to have won something. When and if Tom Thibodeau ever wins a title, he'll be happy for 1 second. He'll go instantly back to being miserable.
Did you hear any of Jeff Hafley's press conference with the Dolphins being introduced as the head coach?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so I heard little bits and pieces of it, and he talked about at one point when he was an assistant coach for college somewhere. I can't remember what school it was. Darn it! He said for the 2 years he was there, he was the guy that slept under his desk. And he's going to give everything over to football. And he's like, I missed family functions, family weddings, and friends, and this and that. And I was going to give it everything and see where it takes me. That's the far extreme of it that you don't want. Like, you don't want a guy like that has zero balance or zero life outside of the building. I don't think that's healthy for that guy. And I don't know how long-term that can actually function or sustain. But a guy like Ben Johnson, who is ultra competitive, but still has that balance, which is why you mentioned, and I love the fact that he said to Caleb Williams, I told him to disengage. Just go forget about it for a while. Don't think about football. And when you come back, we're going to have all the things that he needs to do to take the next step in the following season. But right now, just go away.
That's where when a coach understands that the performative aspect of hard work isn't as important as the quality of the work. I think we've moved past that. And I don't think on the one side, when you get a guy like Steve Spurrier, who's going to be cracking beers at 11 in the morning and then leaving after practice and with his golf club slung over his shoulder, and between that and Dick Vermeil, who was just an emotional wreck all the time because his only life was living through football. I think a good example currently, I mean, there's a lot of guys who are good examples who are able to understand some of this stuff, but the way Curt Cignetti does it at Indiana, the way he talks about practices and the speed and efficiency of the practice and the quality of the work matters more than the quantity of, and it's really been cool to hear some of that discussed. When they do, 90-minute practices, every bit is absolutely timed, and they don't want to get guys hurt. And he's not we're going to run this 6 times until we get it right. They have everything has to be maximum intensity, but it doesn't have to run long as as everybody is understanding everything, and they don't want to waste any time.
Did you did I send you that thing from Instagram? The guy talking about Curt Cignetti and Indiana, and how they had like grown men and dads.
They kind of did.
Did you see that thing I sent you?
Yeah.
Okay. That was hysterical. He's talking about, he's like, got a picture of a guy. I don't know if he's a defensive lineman or offensive lineman. He's got a kids. He's going through a divorce. He's got a mortgage. He's like, that ain't no college age kid.
Well, that's a market inefficiency. It is. You don't have that in the NFL. But that is absolutely currently, and for another time, and probably for DBU, we need to discuss what is happening right now with professional basketball players now, thanks to some decisions that are coming down, being allowed to go back and play in college in games that count. What are we doing? A guy's walking out of his deal in the G League and going to play immediately
college,
for Alabama in games that, come on, I don't, and they're preventing the NCAA from doing anything about it, which we're out of people to root for and root against in this, but I think even a reasonable person can see that this stuff is getting kind of wild, and I don't know where football is going to go, but I think in general, when it comes to being an attractive place to ply your trade and make it to the NFL, the idea that you're not just constantly practicing hours and hours and hours is a draw. And if you're a coach who's just better at practicing and people can live their lives, man, more power to you at any level of the sport.
Couple other things too, just to kind of wrap up. As you know, on DBU on Fridays we do Friday Feedback Friday. Just a couple of comments from our shows during this week on Forward Progress when we were discussing Theo Benedict and the fact that he wasn't good enough to start the game on Sunday against the Rams, and they moved Joe Thuney over, and just kind of questioned that and the whole process behind it and how that disrupted the interior of the line possibly. And I made a comment that if he's not good enough to start, then he shouldn't be there. Now, I just want to click, because we had a couple of comments on YouTube, and just want to, and we don't take calls, we don't interact with listeners outside of emails and comments. So I just want to kind of talk through that a little bit. I'm not advocating to get rid of Theo Benedict, that I don't think he could be a player that can be helpful as a starter or a swing tackle. My whole process was thinking through that and what happened, and watching it again, thinking through it after the fact. I know Jared Verse is a good player, and he had 7.5 sacks. He was, I think, 11th or 12th overall in total pressures as a defensive player. I get that. 7.5 sacks on the season. If your backup, your designated backup tackle, is not good enough to compete against certain levels of competition, I just question, why is he on the roster? I wasn't advocating to get rid of Theo Benedict. It just didn't make sense to me. Roster spots are very precious. And they're limited, you know, and why have a guy on there if he can't compete against certain levels of talent? If a guy is your backup and is unable to go on a certain week and say, oh, our starter's hurt, but gosh, you know what? We can't use our backup this week because the guys he's playing against are just too good, and they're going to beat him pretty bad, and they're going to push him into Caleb. We can't have that. So let's alter the line and what we do with our other starters. That doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'm saying about it. I'm not advocating to get rid of him. I think he has potential to develop and grow, and we saw some good games from him, especially in run blocking. But if he's your backup and he's not good enough against certain talent, why is he on the roster? That's all I was saying.
You know, I always make fun of the reflex of saying next man up. And, well, we have a next man up mentality. Of course you do. You know, because you have, somebody has to play the position.
Right.
It goes without saying that this team, you know, we worked hard to put this roster together, and we believe everybody. And there are some great stories in football every year, every single year. DeMarco Jackson, great story this year. Guys bounced around the back end of teams, ends up being NFC Defensive Player of the Week and just playing really well and doing some things. You know, the whole Nahshon Wright story. Every team's got it. Jordan McFadden at the end of the year was a nice story. A guy comes off a practice squad. But there's a reason why people generally start. And if you, especially when you trust your coach, and if you trust your coach, that coach is going to have the better player start. It isn't basketball where you need to be aware of your second unit and how they're going to perform against the other team's second unit in a given game, in every game that you play. It's not like that. It is not like a bullpen in baseball where everybody on your roster is going to matter. The starters are better than your reserves. And the next man in Next Man Up is generally not as good as the guy before him. So
that's
this
the whole
was
point to it. Yeah,
this was a classic case of, you know, Next Man Up, not so fast.
Right.
Not so fast, next man. I know you're supposed to be on the depth chart, but we'd rather take our left guard and move our left guard to your position and promote a guy off the practice squad who's never ever played next to our terrific center. And maybe the communication that we always talk about isn't going to be its best. And this center may not have his best possible game because of all these different moves that we made. I still think it is a reasonable line of questioning and or criticism to make those moves.
And then last thing too, there was a few comments about Caleb Williams' completion percentage, and you know, I don't understand. I think, well, me personally, I'm just going to put a bow on it here and wrap it up for good. The quarterback and the head coach himself talked about it needs to get better. If you still as a fan can't understand that, then there's no point in continuing to talk about it with you, and just leave your comments alone then, please, because the quarterback said what he needs to work on for next year is footwork and percentage, his completions.
And how one affects the other.
The head coach said that as well too. The guy had a great year. one of the best years. He already is the most talented, best quarterback the Bears have ever had in their franchise history, and he's only played 2 years. After next season, for completing 3 seasons, was looking at some numbers, Dan, he's going to be in the top 12, maybe top 10 in passing yards in the first 3 years in NFL history. So yes, he is the greatest quarterback ever. He still has room to improve. He says it. The head coach says it, that you love and trust. So it's okay if we say it as well too. And you can think it as well too as a fan. There were opportunities that he missed. There were opportunities that his teammates missed by dropping footballs and not being on time in their routes and not running their routes fully. Everyone can improve, including Caleb Williams. He knows that. So let's put that to bed now. He can increase and get better at completing some of the simpler passes that he missed.
I guess I haven't seen the same pushback that you have.
It's just some YouTube comments. It's just like, and a couple emails. And again, we don't take calls and have opportunities to argue with people and have those fun sports debates, which I really miss, and I wish we did it because it was one of the highlights of my 17 years at the Score.
Do you still have the phone? Did they ever at least present you with the broken black plastic phone that you could just have as an outlet?
And
as
I
a
think
stress?
I wish now in the moment I wish I would have taken it because I would have it on display somewhere down here, but I don't have it. That was I just
I knew it was a rough day because we couldn't, because it was the soundproofed between the producer studio, but you'd always push. Or there was the day. Do you remember the punching bag? There was with the big suction cup thing. Okay, there's a punching bag with a suction cup. Yeah. It was the perfect thing for a while because it was like stuck. You'd stick it either to the desk or to the window or to the back of the door, and it gave you something you could just punch. Yeah. And then one day, was it you or was it Goff?
I don't remember.
A big wind up bolo punch, and the punching bag unsuction cupped. It disengaged because of the force of the blow.
Yeah, it's probably Jason.
It flipped and flipped and flipped, and it sort of cartwheeled through the air and stuck perfectly on the inside of the studio door.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, I do. I missed that. The one is I just thought of this now as I'm picturing that thing flying through the air. Do you remember the time we sent the intern out to McDonald's and it came back for Baldy McGrindy, and there was cheese on his.
It went to the wrong McDonald's?
There was cheese. No, that was a different story. That was Momola. This one.
That was Momola. It was like this weather.
That was for me and Lawrence. And he went to McDonald's and he didn't go to the one right across Michigan Avenue. He walked, I don't know, like miles away. And he came back and there was like, he had icicles stuck to him.
He looked like at the end of Dumb and Dumber when they're riding the bike.
That's exactly what it was.
That's what he looked like.
The food was ice cold because he'd been gone for like an hour and a half.
What was he doing?
Yeah, he just. We were like, "Where'd you go?" And he told us, and we were like, "Dude, there's one right across Michigan Avenue."
Went to
like 5 minutes away.
went to a McDonald's in Alberta.
It was it was Baldy McGrindy, and the intern got cheeseburgers, and he wanted hamburgers. Whoa. And he took the piece. You know how McDonald's cheese doesn't fully melt?
Yep.
So he pulled it off, and it was full of ketchup and mustard and the onions, and he threw it into the garbage can, but he missed, and it hit the wall, and it was the soundproofing material on the wall, so it was like cloth, and so it just stuck to it, and then there was like stains of mustard and ketchup and onions just sliding down the wall. Oh yeah, I thought of that as you.
He could have run for president. He didn't even know.
Oh boy,
he would have been perfect for the job. Yeah, he didn't like cheese. Doesn't. I don't know that he ever got over it or sought help.
Think so.
But if the order came wrong, it happened with a sub sandwich too, where if cheese touched it, it ruined everything. He was like me with the TV dinners when I was a kid, where they had to warn the babysitter.
Oh, where stuff couldn't touch, or
okay.
Well, that's why it was convenient though, because the TV dinners came in the little. They had the different compartments.
If it didn't look like it did on the box when I was a kid, and I would get either the Salisbury steak or the turkey, the Swanson Hungry Man. I don't know if they had Hungry Man at the time. I think it was just regular Swanson. But if there was, because you'd get the mixed carrots and peas.
Yep.
and there would be the mashed potatoes over here, and they'd have the cobbler in the top middle, like a blueberry little baked cobbler. If there was a carrot or a pea that ended up in the entree area, if anything touched the cobbler, if there was, I would apparently freak out.
And murder the babysitter.
It would, well, the babysitter had to be warned. Like, when it comes out of the oven, take a tweezer if you have to, and replace everything as it is and make it look like the box. There was that, and for me, I love Kraft slices, individual American Kraft slices.
The singles, yep. Mm-hmm.
But if a corner was broken, the day was ruined. I learned a lot about this in therapy.
Okay.
A lot.
Well, it probably was a good thing that we didn't, like, we weren't brothers growing up in the same house, because I would have done things just to torture you.
But it would ruin your day as well.
I would have thrown a pea and a carrot inside your blueberry cobbler.
I bet you would have.
I would have ripped the edge off the Kraft single.
Yep. But I'm telling you, you would have stopped doing it because it wasn't good for anyone when something like that happened, because it threw the universe was wrong, things were thrown off, and I was not equipped to deal with it, and that there were certain things that have bedeviled me throughout.
So, you learned about this in therapy recently?
Relatively.
Okay.
I mean, I always knew about it, but it was always like, my parents would tell the story. It's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He was always so picky when it came to the TV dinners. And then, when you start talking about it with a professional, I'm like, yeah, well, let's use that as a jumping off point for some other things and ask some questions about it and try to remember why things had to look like they were presented to you, or when you would see something in a television commercial and you'd want to order it, or in the back of a comic book, and you're like, ooh, X-ray specs, let's order those. And the lessons that are learned over time in life when things aren't what they're promised to be, or things aren't what they seem, and you're let down by things. There's a lot of little threads here.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't like. I was, when I was younger, I didn't like my food to touch, like, on the same plate.
I still don't like.
So
Well, your food I don't care about. I generally don't like mine to touch either.
Yeah, I'm okay with it now. It's not as bad, but I have, like, even like a Thanksgiving dinner is a great example. I eat one item at a time. Like, I'm not eating multiple things I'm certainly not mixing things together and taking, like, a big spoonful of, like, potatoes and corn and stuffing together. But I'll eat, like, one item at a time off the plate. So I'll take down the corn first, and then the potatoes, and then maybe the stuffing. But yeah, I eat it one thing at a time.
I don't like anything to bleed together either. I used to love when we would go out for Chinese, and I would take rice and I would make, like, walls. I would make little battlements.
Oh God!
What?
Nothing. That's great.
No, I would use rice, because you didn't want, like, orange beef touching mushu pork, touching the shrimp with sizzling rice, those other things. Those are different flavors.
It's funny though, because this is how I grew up. So I would eat. My dad would order Chinese food. My mom never ordered Chinese food. My dad would order Chinese food.
Always, my dad would. We'd sit down to be a lazy Susan. My dad would order things, and they would spin around, and you would take what came to you.
So my dad ordered one thing. So growing up, until I was an adult, I didn't realize that Chinese restaurants served more than one dish. I thought Chinese restaurants all served chop suey.
Really?
That's all my dad ever ordered was chop suey.
I've never had chop
if
suey.
You're getting Chinese food, you're getting chop suey. I'm like, okay, so that's what. Yeah, it's chop suey and then rice. And then I remember as an adult, I'd go and I was like, wow, what is this? They have more than chop suey? Wow, there's like 75 items here.
We always had, like, when we would go, we would eat Chinese relatively often. We go to Yulin's in Highland Park. Like, every other Sunday night, we'd go with the 8 of us, like my mom's sister's family, and we'd all sort of get together and sit around a big 8-person table. And both my dad and my uncle would order for the table, and everybody knew what a Chinese dinner was, and it was steamed dumplings or pot stickers, or sometimes steamed dumplings and pot stickers. Mm-hmm. Then it would be soup. It would be usually hot and sour soup. We'd always get that. And then when the entrees came, there was some mix of mushu pork, kung pao chicken. There would always be a spicy. There'd always be, like, a shrimp, a pork, a chicken, like one of each protein item, but we would make sure to have different flavors, some mild, some spicy, and that's how you know. And if
so then on your plate you'd build a little compartments of rice.
Yeah,
and,
correct.
So that they wouldn't
correct.
touch. I get
because
it.
you don't want a shrimp and lobster sauce to be touching sesame chicken. And certainly not if you had the spicy kung pao, something you don't want that leaking over into your mushu pancake.
Give it to me. Make it hurt. Kung Pao chicken, buddy.
Oh, buddy, give me that firecracker. I want it. And the poor woman, like, okay, and they did.
Oh,
and they did. Yes, that was a night. Wasn't Randy Johnson there that night when we walked in?
Oh, I don't remember that.
I think so. It was a place called Firecracker. I remember the name of the place. And they were known. They were known for spicy
you remember
food.
better than I do. Yeah.
No, I don't. I really don't.
You do.
I know it was one of those nights where we had a second dinner and then a third dinner on the way home from the second dinner. We went to the Jack in the Box drive-through after Waffle House.
God, it's a good thing we were young.
Right?
Younger. Yeah. It was all the food we ate after 11 p.m.
Oh, I know, but that's when it was the best.
Yeah, I'll never forget the was it Houston with the Mexican place where like you couldn't see the tabletop,
Ruchi's.
like a table for 6
Yeah,
people.
they were open till 4 a.m, I think.
Yeah, I mean it was a table big enough for 6 people, and the two of us had enough food you couldn't see the tabletop.
It's like the scene in Diner when the guy's like he ordered the entire left side of the menu.
Yep, that's what we did.
That was because everything sounded good.
Yeah. Well, at
and we
that
got
time,
to
everything did sound good,
and it was inexpensive, and we got to expense it.
Which is
so as long
good.
as whatever the iteration of CBS or Infinity or whatever,
I think it was CBS at the time,
giant godforsaken evil corporation it was kind enough to pick up our Mexican dinners.
Yeah. How many people went to this dinner? Oh, just 2.
Just 2. We were very hungry.
Yes, we were. All right.
That sounds good. I'm hungry now.
All right, I'm going to recap here real quick. I have Seattle and New England winning this weekend, going to the Super Bowl.
You have Seattle and New England. I think this is Jarrett Stidham's world, and we're all living in it. So I am going to take the Denver Broncos and Seattle wins the Super Bowl.
All right, wait, who? Mike and Sean, and is it Mike and Mike? Sean and Sean are the head coaches.
Sean McVay, Mike McDonald,
Mike Vrabel,
Sean Payton, and Mike Vrabel.
Oh yeah, so it's. You think it? So I have it down as Mike against. Mike, who did I say? I have Mike and Mike.
I've got Sean Payton against Mike McDonald.
Yeah, and I have Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald.
Okay.
Mike and
Mike versus Mike.
Them.
Okay. And when are they announcing Coach of the Year?
I don't know, but Ben Johnson's up for it.
Is this finalist bit like the Gold Glove finalists or the Heisman
like they have the winner done
finalists?
already?
Yeah, they know who the voters are. They just giving it the top 5 and voting.
I don't know how it works. Yeah, so it's AP Coach of the Year. He's a finalist for it, and then the MVPs came out, and Caleb's not in it. So
someday soon.
Yeah, someday soon. Did you see? I saw this the other day. The Super Bowl 61 that'll be in February of 27 is on Valentine's Day.
Wow.
Yeah. Second Sunday of the month is Valentine's Day. So February 14th.
Yeah, Valentine's Day has really ceased to mean anything.
Which also the national championship game will be January 25th in 27. So you have a January 25th college championship and a February 14th NFL championship. Just getting later and later.
Well, then it'll start adding up as a sign of spring because the PGA season has started, as you know. So that's always.
Oh, I've been watching indoor golf, the indoor golf league.
I can't watch that. You're not watching that, really, are you?
I'm not. I did it first just to see Tiger, but I dropped out right away.
No, it feels like hanging out. It's like hanging out at Dave and Buster's
with a bunch of bros.
Yeah,
like
you know
the Pavia brothers.
No, not. I would go to David. Does Dave and Buster's exist anywhere?
Oh yeah, no, we have one in the Hawthorne Mall.
Is the one on Clark Street still there?
I couldn't tell you. I just know there's the one in the mall that we go to.
Okay, because Pavia Brothers at that might actually be fun.
Yeah, the Dave and Buster's though, it's like when the 6 of us go and we eat there too. It's like that's like $1,000 night.
What?
Oh, it's insane
for chicken fingers.
Well, dude, these kids don't eat chicken fingers.
Well, they don't have a damn choice
and multiple meals.
If you're going to take them for steaks, come on, take them for a real steak. There's got to be some place near you that can make a decent steak.
You go for the games, and then food just happens to be something you have to do.
Okay, so they're playing. What are they playing?
Skee ball and we're not going shuffleboard for food there. We just happen to. Okay, we're here. We might as well just eat while we're here.
It's like being at a ball game.
Yes,
and that's $1,000. I understand that. I get because you got the tickets and the whole thing. I don't know. That's a big number there, man. That's a lot. Well, that's going to do it for Forward Progress.
So this first weekend without a post-game show, I'm sad.
I know. I am too. I'm going to miss it. Well, theoretically, we could do whatever we want. Anytime you feel like it, I'm right here. If you just want to say, hey, you want to go in and talk about something, this game just ended, I'm down.
Okay. We'll see.
I'm around. It depends on the condition I'm in. I might
also have to check my schedule too. I think I have like 8 basketball games on Sunday. We'll see.
Well, if I show up and you say, let's come on, and my hair's all messed up and I'm not wearing pants, then you'll just shut it down and say, go back to what you were doing.
Yeah, all the kids stuff was canceled today. School practices later tonight. Basketball games were canceled. It's cold outside. Make sure you wear a coat.
Coat drive. Go to Tony Midland.
A book on your head.
Put a book on you. Somebody actually sent me a weather report that had something to do with like how many books you should read because you're going to be inside all weekend. And it was some partnership with a literacy program to say with all the no school, so you should be home and reading. And he said if you just glance at it, you can interpret it as this. It's so cold. How many books should you put on your head?
3.
I'm thinking about it. Like 1 on each foot and 1 over your head. And don't forget, cayenne pepper in your socks.
All right, that's Forward Progress.
All right, bye. See ya.
Forward Progress has stopped. 10, 219, 219.
Forward Progress. A Chicago Bears podcast with Dan Bernstein and Matt Abatacola on 312 Sports.